All right, Valerie, so excited to have you on the podcast today and to talk about one of my favorite events every year, Freedom Fest, which you run. For anyone who hasn't been to this incredible gathering of thousands of like valued individuals, can you walk us through the history? How did Freedom Fest start and how it's evolved over the years into the giant conference it is today?
Thanks so much, Alexander. It's great to be here with you to talk about Freedom Fest. And, Freedom Fest started as an idea coming out of one of the think tanks in the Liberty movement. Actually, it's a family business now, but at the time, my dad, Mark Skousen, was the president of Foundation for Economic Education. And as he was in that role, he saw in the Liberty world that things were really siloed back then. And he wanted to bring together all the think tanks and grassroots organizations doing such phenomenal work in the Liberty space, and also wanted to bring in his world as an Austrian economist and a financial advisor, all the financial firms that are so aligned with Liberty. So we kind of pulled those all together. First, it was Fee Fest in 2002, and in 2007, it became Freedom Fest. So we've been doing this for more than 20 years in some way or another. And it's really grown over the years because people have found the value of coming together for 4 days each year to learn, to share with each other, to network and grow the movement. And we've seen such tremendous shifts in the Liberty space since 2002 and 2007 when this all started. Freedom Fest has been in the midst of all of that.
And I love the idea of not having different groups in the Liberty movement siloed off and starting off bringing together the think tanks and policy side with the Austrian economists and the businesses that are driven by that. But it's started to include a lot more than that too. You talk about freedom as a 360-degree concept as what you're really emphasizing at the conference these days, right?
Absolutely. So often when we heard the term freedom, we think of political freedom. And that's really, really important. We must have political freedom in order to pursue our dreams and our happiness and our businesses. So that's super important. But financial freedom, health freedom, intellectual freedom is so important, religious and spiritual freedom, the ability to pursue business in the way that we would like to bring more value to the world. These things are super important and they create a lifestyle of liberty. So we're not limited in one particular area. So at Freedom Fest, we bring all of those different people together, businesses and organizations doing great work in so many different directions. And what's awesome is you start to have this overlap. You learn from each other. Maybe a business is learning from what a think tank is doing and learning about some new policy that they can use in their business. There's a great diversity of conversation that happens, not just in one particular realm. You benefit from everything that's being talked about at Freedom Fest.
And I've experienced that myself over the years. You introduced a film festival as a part of this, as one of the fun things that people are able to participate in, as to emphasize like that artistic and aesthetic side to liberty as well, right?
Absolutely. Freedom is very important. It's very serious, but also life is meant to be joyful and fun. And so at Freedom Fest, even as we take on really difficult topics like immigration or climate change or what have you, we'll also talk about having fun. And so we'll have a comedy show, we'll have karaoke, and we do have a film festival that it runs in tandem with all of Freedom Fest, where the best films in the Liberty space that talk about themes of accountability, choice, individuality are presented with panels and talkbacks with the actual filmmakers. It's really robust and a great way to see what's on the forefront of an art form in the Liberty movement.
And it's not just fun. I think there have been a few marriages even at Freedom Fest because people have tied this so closely to their personal lives, right?
Absolutely. We have two speakers coming this year, Avens O'Brien and Judd Weiss. They met at a Freedom Fest in 2012 and have been together ever since. We've had a couple marriages happen at Freedom Fest where people met each other and then a couple years later used the occasion. We're very often in Las Vegas, so that's a great way to get hitched. So you're there with like-minded people with who are very well educated, very uh, engaged with the world. These are not laid back, kind of like, bring it to me. These are people who are really active and engaged. So you meet fantastic people and you might even meet the love of your life.
So there is an opportunity for some romantic connections there, some long-term ones, which is great. But also obviously it's a place where people are developing really interesting ideas, and it can really set them on a different course in life professionally too. I know that there have been a number of people who've gone to Freedom Fest and that set them on a different path. Do any stories
Absolutely.
come to mind for you of who this has impacted?
Absolutely. Our exhibit hall is something that John Mackey calls the Trade Show for Liberty. And when you go into that hall, there are 100 to 150 different organizations and businesses presenting new ideas and business opportunities. I know that a young man, his name is Jeremy Corden, he came through the exhibit hall kind of fresh out of college, wondering what is all this. And ends up interacting with a company there called Valorum. Valorum has a nanotechnology that infuses gold directly into paper. Jeremy had this idea of taking that and starting to use a usable form of gold where you can actually use a gold back, and his company's name is Goldback. And now in places like Idaho and Nevada and Utah, you can actually use transactional gold in order to make purchases. So he now has a business that's hundreds of millions of dollars. He's revolutionizing the currency space, and it all started from an idea at Freedom Fest. Those kinds of things happen all the time. I don't even know that they're happening. They're just kind of spontaneously erupting. All these different great project ideas and business launches are coming out of that Freedom Fest space.
And I can even personally attest to that. I think it was the first or second Freedom Fest that I went to when we were just starting to build Students for Liberty that I met Rick Rule for the first time. I
Oh,
went up and talked with him at his table for Sprott, and we had a nice chat. He asked to see our P&L. I actually just gave him a spreadsheet with all of our expenses, and he became a donor after that because we had so much transparency into what we were doing. And he's just stayed involved, not just with Students for Liberty now as a board member, but also with Liberty Ventures, speaking at an event we had in
mm,
DC and offering to mentor young entrepreneurs and get involved. So I can even say that these connections and relationships can be really powerful from meeting people at the trade show for Liberty at Freedom Fest there and starting to develop these relationships.
that's an awesome story. I love Rick Rule. And what a great story to hear how he got connected to you there in those early days with Students for Liberty. So awesome.
And we're working together more closely this year to open up these opportunities for entrepreneurs, especially, and also to bring some more investors in with Principled
Mm.
Business hosting the pitch competition this year, which we just kicked off the accelerator for the, I believe, now 49 startups who applied to be a part of it this year. And I'm wondering just if you can say a little bit about why you started the pitch competition last year and what your hope is going to come out of this.
Absolutely. You know, as we talk about the different people for whom liberty, some people know that they're liberty minded, and other people are liberty aligned and they maybe don't even know it. And we feel entrepreneurs are in that category. These are people who value their sovereignty, value their right to choose the way that they want to make their living, the contribution that they want to make to the world. So we feel that anyone with that entrepreneurial spirit is definitely aligned, and we want to support free market economics and capitalism because we really believe in that being the best system to bring about human flourishing on this planet. So this year we're partnering with you, and it's been an amazing experience to bring the pitch competition. We'll have a couple of days of pitches with all of our applicants and now selected finalists, and then we'll go in a couple rounds and end up with the finalists being announced on our main stage with some of our celebrity judges like Steve Forbes and Sean Nelson and Bert Ullman and quite a handful of others. So that's going to be a really exciting event. And as we've had these kind of entrepreneurial pitch tanks in the past, the attendees are super fascinated. They want to know, what are people coming up with? What are the new ideas? What are the better mousetraps that are being created? And of course, with the creation of AI and so many other technological booms going on right now, it's so robust to see what's happening in that entrepreneurial space. So I have a feeling, and you probably know better because you've been seeing some of those applicants. I have a feeling we're going to see some revolutionary ideas right there in our pitch competition. And who knows, 5 years down the road, see a new stripe or, something brand new that's going to take over the world and revolutionize everything. And that will be the story of how it started at Freedom Fest.
100%. And I'm so excited about all of the applicants and all the entrepreneurs who are pitching here, and really do hope that we can help them develop the next stripe. And for anyone who comes out to Freedom Fest this year can meet them early on, not just hear
Yeah.
their pitches, but actually get to spend time talking with them and get the opportunity to support them early on too. Now,
And I want
yeah,
to say also, Alexander, if you don't mind, we also have programming to go along with that. So in
that's
our
right.
Freedom Fest schedule, there are also going to be sessions dedicated to entrepreneurialism, taking your business to the next level, how to secure funding, excellent marketing strategies. So this is not just for those who have been selected for the pitch competition. If you are an entrepreneur in any capacity, if you're a small business owner, as so many of us are, I encourage you to come to Freedom Fest because of the breadth of information you're going to get to help your business grow. There's going to be a slew of other high level business owners. There are people like John Mackey walking our halls and so many other fantastic entrepreneurs who are just so expert and have so much richness to offer. You can talk to those people and shake their hands and pick their brains a little bit and share your experiences and learn from that. So this is really a much more open platform than just for the applicants. We invite everyone who's interested in that, and it's really super great to come and also experience the financial freedom side, because we have people like Peter Schiff and Art Laffer and Jim Rogers, Louis Navalier, Jim Woods, Mark Scouse, so many great financial advisors. So as you're working on your business, you can also be working on your investments, your savings, your retirement, which is so key to having a successful business life. Make sure that your financial freedom is also set.
And I always want to emphasize that there are some great people coming out to Freedom Fest that anyone listening to this should connect with that they don't know before. These entrepreneurs who are getting started. You're listing off a number of the big names who are coming out to Freedom Fest this year, and you've had some really big names in the past, including controversial ones. In 2015, Donald Trump, just as he announced his presidential run, was a keynote speaker at Freedom Fest. And I just have to ask, what philosophy do you take with that, because it was and still is controversial, and how did everyone respond? What does that say about Freedom Fest?
It's so interesting to look back at things with a 2020 hindsight. At the time, Donald Trump was most famous for being head of Celebrity Apprentice and The Apprentice. And we obviously, as people who appreciate business and business leaders, appreciated him as a businessman. And so we said, absolutely, come to Freedom Fest. He had already made some of his kind of more controversial statements, and so we insisted on a Q&A session, because at Freedom Fest we believe in the value of civil discourse and open dialogue. So almost all of our sessions do end with Q&A, and one of the very first questions was asked by a scholar and a journalist out of Mexico, challenging candidate Trump on some of his statements on immigration at the time. And that was really important, because here was what ended up being a major game changer in the political landscape. He came to Freedom Fest as one of his very first events when his campaign reached out and said, we'd like for him to come speak. We did talk about it in depth, and ultimately we felt we had the opportunity to let people hear from him, but also ask questions back. And it was one of the few times later, I don't think he took as many questions and answers in his campaign events, but Freedom Fest was one where he did answer questions. And I think that was really valuable.
Maybe because you actually had the opportunity to let people push him a little bit there, which was, again, I think fantastic. And you've had some other amazing people, like last year, Ice-T was talking about free speech, which was a huge hit, of course. Who's speaking this year that you're most excited for?
Oh my gosh, we really have such an exciting lineup. One of the most exciting people, I think, that might surprise certain people that someone at Freedom Fest would be coming is Ryan Holiday. And Ryan is going to be talking with um, the executive director of the Prometheus Foundation on the value of philosophy in managing your life. Here you have a major advocate for stoicism and a major advocate for objectivism, to really robust philosophical ideas coming together to have a conversation about the value of philosophy in your personal life. I think this is going to be a really rich conversation that stimulates a lot of growth for the individual attendees in our audience. Of course, Ryan is a phenomenal speaker and thinker, and he'll really be revolutionizing the stage. We also have Adam Carolla, who, as the cancel culture movement got going, he was one of the first ones on the forefront pushing back against cancel culture. The Anthem Film Festival featured his No Safe Spaces film that he did with PragerU and Dennis Prager back in the day. And now he's on our stage talking with Kennedy and sharing what he's doing with his podcast to continue this push towards freedom of expression. We have Kat Timpf coming. And what's interesting about Kat, of course, she's a great voice on Fox, and she's so witty and brings such great insight into liberty. But she's also just had her first child and is now going through cancer treatments, which she's been very public about. Freedom Fest will be her first appearance back, and she's going to talk about that very poignant journey. I mean, the range of things that you get to hear at Freedom Fest are super exciting. We have Daryl Davis, who is a African-American man who went and befriended Ku Klux Klan members as a form of civil discourse. His new organization, the Pro-Human Foundation, is doing amazing work in the areas of human respect, which is so important. And let me tell you the full range. This is so exciting. Dr. Cornel West is coming to have one of his classic conversations with Robert George. They're going to sit down and talk about their new book, Truth Matters. And in this day and age, truth does matter. And to have these two gentlemen with such disparate views in so many areas demonstrate the ability to have a civil conversation around something important is such a model for what we need in our society, our businesses, our lives, our families, our communities. And these are the kinds of things that we're going to have at Freedom Fest. Our MC is Kennedy this year, and she always blows away the stage and is super dynamic and fun. She makes every main stage session just buzz and go crazy. But I encourage everyone to go to the website, freedomfest.com, check out our full speaker lineup. We will have more than 200 speakers at Freedom Fest this year, and representing a massive range. Andrew Main, is coming to talk about AI, along with George Gilder and Larry Sanger, who is one of the co-developers of Wikipedia. We have, of course, classics in the liberty movement like Spike Cohen, who we love having at Freedom Fest. Renato Mosiano is coming. He is somebody who's in the like MMA, UFC fighting space. And this is a man who talks about Austrian economics after he wins fights. He'll get on the mic and say, everybody needs to go read Road to Serfdom. I mean, who does that? He's coming on the stage. Pacific Legal Foundation is bringing him to our stage to talk about what he feels is so important. And I know the community there at Principal Business and Liberty Ventures understands the value of free market economics. Here's a fighter who's fighting for free market economics in a completely different way. I think his speech is going to really just be amazing.
These are all just really exciting, and there's so many more. Everyone should go visit the website to check out everything at Freedom Fest. I'm encouraging everyone to go. But before we wrap up, Val, I just want to ask about what it's like being in the family business here. And that's one of the interesting things about Freedom Fest too, or perhaps for people like me who care about insider baseball and different ways of organizing here, because it started out of one of the first nonprofits in the liberty movement and has become actually a business that the whole family is a part of. So what's it like working with your parents on this and the rest of the family getting involved? What are the dynamics like, and how does that shape Freedom Fest itself?
Freedom Fest is a mission-driven for-profit business. So we have an interesting mix of, we're really here to be in service to the liberty movement. And we've believed that we bring value by providing this platform that people can come and access. And together we build that. Every year it's unique. Every year we have different people coming. But working with my parents, my sister, my sister-in-law, my cousin, every once in a while my brothers chip in, my nieces and nephews come and work. It's really amazing because I know people often say, that family businesses are hard. I think all business has political, you have the politics and with groups. But what I love is that we have that bond, that love that goes beyond the everyday tasks getting done. We really care about each other. And so if times get hard or we have a tough decision to make, we really value each other at such a deep level that we're able to support each other and make the best decision possible. So I really feel that our family, we all believe in what we're doing. We share that love and that bond, and we bring that to the table with everything we do. We really care about the conference that we put on for everyone, and we love that everyone's coming. We call it the Freedom Fest fam because we have all these devoted people who come year after year, and they really get it, and they feel connected with us. We feel connected with them, and it feels so important that we're lifting this up together in such an amazing way. So it's an honor to be part of a family business. I think that there's a long tradition of family business, and we're right in the thick of it. And I think it is a huge boon to our business that we have those family connections.
And I love that you're basically inviting the rest of the Liberty Movement into your family with this as the
Yeah.
Freedom Fest fam. So, that, like you said, so really, thank you for doing this. It is one of my favorite events every year, and I'm just so excited for it coming up in Palm Springs in just over a month. And so, hope more people in the Liberty Ventures and Principal Business Networks come on out to it to see what this is about if they haven't been before.
Yeah, let me just say it's June 11th through the 14th in Palm Springs, California. Our theme is Oasis of Liberty. We're taking over the town for 4 days to create an Oasis of Liberty, but also helping people find the Oasis of Liberty in their own lives. And I have a special invitation. If you go to freedomfest.com and click the register button, if you use the code Principled100, you get an additional $100 off the ticket price and another 50 on top of that for guests. So I invite everybody out there to come out, engage with all these different amazing people. It will be rich and fulfilling, and you will come away with practical information, practical solutions that make your lives and your businesses that much better and successful. So I hope to see you in Palm Springs.
We'll see you there soon. Thank you, Val.
Thanks.